In the heart of Nova Meridian, a sprawling space station known for its shimmering neon lights and bustling trade halls, humanity had reached new heights in interstellar diplomacy. The air buzzed with excitement as representatives from across the galaxy gathered to negotiate resource-sharing agreements that could shape the future of countless worlds. Among them was Captain Elias Venn, a seasoned explorer whose sharp eyes and quick thinking had earned him respect, and more than a few enemies. Throughout his career, Elias stood at the edge of the grand conference hall, adjusting the collar of his uniform as he scanned the room. His mission was clear: secure an alliance with the Lumivine, an alien species renowned for their advanced technology and ethereal beauty. Their bioluminescent skin glowed faintly under the soft light of the chandeliers, casting an otherworldly aura around them. But it wasn't just their appearance that set them apart. It was their telepathic abilities, which allowed them to sense emotions and intentions with unsettling accuracy. At the center of the delegation sat Princess Lysara, the youngest heir to the Lumivine throne. Her presence commanded attention, yet there was something gentle about her demeanor. She listened intently as diplomats debated terms, her glowing hands folded neatly on the table before her. When Elias approached to introduce himself, he felt an inexplicable pull, a strange warmth spreading through his chest. He tried to shake it off, attributing it to nerves or fatigue, but when their eyes met, everything else faded away. For a moment, time seemed to stop. Lysara's luminous violet eyes locked onto his, and Elias realized he couldn't look away. It wasn't just curiosity. It was awe. Her gaze was piercing, as if she could see straight into his soul, but there was also a softness there, an invitation rather than a challenge. To his surprise, a faint blush spread across her cheeks, causing her skin to shimmer even brighter. Murmurs rippled through the room as others noticed the exchange. Then came the unexpected. Breaking protocol entirely, Lysara leaned forward slightly, her voice barely audible over the hum of conversation. Through her translator device clipped to her ear, she whispered, "You're making me nervous." The words hung in the air like stardust, leaving Elias stunned. No one spoke. Diplomats exchanged puzzled glances, unsure how to react to this breach of formality. Yet instead of embarrassment, a small giggle escaped Lysara's lips, a sound so human it disarmed everyone who heard it. Even Elias couldn't suppress a grin, though he quickly masked it by clearing his throat. Elias stammered, fumbling for words. "I didn't mean to." "It's all right," Lysara interrupted, her tone lighthearted but genuine. "It's not every day someone looks at me like I'm, well, interesting." Her response caught him off guard. Interesting. He hadn't expected that. Most people saw royalty as untouchable, distant figures wrapped in layers of tradition and authority. But Lysara seemed different, almost relatable. There was a vulnerability in her smile that intrigued him, sparking questions he couldn't ignore. Who was she beneath the crown? And why did she seem so eager to break free from the weight of expectation? As the meeting resumed, Elias found himself stealing glances at Lysara whenever he thought no one was watching. Each time, he wondered if she felt the same connection, or if he was imagining things. Whatever it was, one thing was certain: this encounter would change everything. As Elias and Lysara grew closer, their bond became impossible to ignore. Conversations that began as diplomatic exchanges soon turned into moments of genuine connection, filled with laughter, shared dreams, and quiet understanding. But while the two found solace in each other's company, not everyone was pleased by this growing closeness. Shadows loomed behind the glittering halls of Nova Meridian, where factions from both human and Lumivine sides conspired against them. Among the humans, a group calling themselves the Sovereign Guard saw the budding relationship between Elias and Lysara as a threat to humanity's independence. They believed any alliance with the Lumivine would lead to cultural assimilation, a loss of identity for Earth's people. To them, Elias's fascination with Lysara wasn't just unprofessional, it was dangerous. On the Lumivine side, traditionalists viewed Lysara's behavior with disdain. Her openness with Elias violated centuries-old customs that demanded emotional detachment in matters of diplomacy. Some even whispered that her actions were a betrayal of her heritage, tarnishing the sacred role of the royal family. These opposing forces began working together in secret, united by a common goal: to sabotage the negotiations and sever the connection between Elias and Lysara before it could grow stronger. Unaware of these machinations, Elias and Lysara continued to meet whenever possible. One evening, after another long day of talks, they found themselves alone on one of Nova Meridian's observation decks. The vast expanse of stars stretched out before them, a reminder of the infinite possibilities beyond their current struggles. Lysara leaned against the railing, her glowing skin reflecting off the glass. "I wish we didn't have to hide this," she said softly, glancing at him. "Every time I'm near you, I feel like I can breathe again, like I'm allowed to be myself." Elias hesitated, torn between his feelings and the weight of responsibility. "I know what you mean," he admitted, "but if we're not careful, our connection could ruin everything we've worked for." People are already talking. Before Lysara could respond, an urgent message flashed on Elias's communicator. It was Mira, a rogue Lumavine scientist who had been quietly observing the events unfold. Though once ostracized by her own people for questioning tradition, Mira now acted as a bridge between worlds, helping those who sought mutual understanding. She requested an immediate meeting, claiming she had critical information. Curious but cautious, Elias excused himself and met Mira in a secluded corner of the station. The scientist wasted no time getting to the point. "There's a plot against you," she said, her voice low and urgent. "Both human and Lumavine extremists are working together to destroy the Alliance, and your relationship is their target." Mira handed Elias a data chip containing encrypted messages detailing the conspiracy. One plan involved planting false evidence to frame him for espionage, hoping to discredit Earth entirely. Another scheme aimed to publicly humiliate Lysara, portraying her as weak and unfit to rule. Elias's mind raced as he absorbed the implications. If the conspirators succeeded, not only would the treaty collapse, but Lysara's reputation, and possibly her safety, would be at risk. He thanked Mira and returned to the observation deck, determined to warn Lysara. When he arrived, she was still gazing at the stars, lost in thought. Seeing the gravity on his face, she straightened immediately. "What's wrong?" Taking a deep breath, Elias explained everything. As he spoke, Lysara's expression shifted from shock to resolve. "We can't let them win," she said firmly. "If they want to use us to divide our people, then we'll show them unity instead." Together, they devised a plan to expose the truth, not just to protect themselves, but to ensure the Alliance survived. For the first time since arriving at Nova Meridian, Elias felt a spark of hope. Though danger loomed ahead, he knew they wouldn't face it alone. Whatever came next, they would stand side by side. The day of the Grand Summit arrived, casting a tense energy over Nova Meridian. Representatives from dozens of species filled the opulent conference hall, their vibrant attire and glowing insignias creating a kaleidoscope of colors. The air buzzed with anticipation as delegates prepared to finalize the historic treaty between Earth and the Lumavine, an agreement that promised peace, shared resources, and unprecedented cooperation. Yet beneath the surface, unseen forces plotted to shatter this fragile unity. Elias stood near the podium, his hands clasped tightly behind his back. He had spent the past night reviewing Mira's evidence, memorizing every detail of the conspiracy. Beside him, Lysara radiated calm determination, though her faintly trembling fingers betrayed her nerves. They exchanged a quick glance, silently reaffirming their resolve. This was their moment to fight back, not just for themselves, but for the future of two worlds. As the ceremony began, dignitaries took turns delivering speeches about hope, progress, and collaboration. But just as the signing phase commenced, chaos erupted. A holographic projection filled the room, displaying doctored footage of Elias allegedly bribing a Lumivine official. Gasps rippled through the crowd, followed by murmurs of outrage. Some human delegates shot Elias accusing glances, while Lumivine council members whispered furiously among themselves. Lysera stepped forward, her voice cutting through the commotion like a blade. "Enough," she declared, her bioluminescent skin flaring brightly in defiance. All eyes turned to her as she raised her hands, silencing the room with an unspoken command. Without hesitation, she activated her telepathic abilities, broadcasting directly into the minds of everyone present. Listen to me. Her voice echoed in their thoughts, bypassing language barriers entirely. What you see is a lie, a fabrication meant to divide us. Using Mira's data chip, Lysera projected the encrypted messages onto the holographic screen. The conspirators' plans unfolded before the stunned audience. Instructions to sabotage the negotiations, fabricate evidence against Elias, and discredit Lysera. Names and timestamps appeared alongside incriminating details, leaving no room for doubt. The room fell deathly silent as the truth sank in. Among the crowd, several individuals shifted uncomfortably, their guilt written plainly on their faces. One human delegate tried to flee but was quickly detained by security personnel. Others remained frozen, too shocked to move. "This betrayal comes from within our own ranks," Lysera continued, her voice steady despite the turmoil around her. "But we will not let fear or hatred dictate our future. We are stronger together." Her words resonated deeply, sparking applause from many attendees. Even some who had initially doubted the alliance now nodded in agreement, moved by her courage. Elias watched in awe as Lysera transformed from a reserved princess into a fearless leader, standing tall even when the odds seemed insurmountable. When the clapping subsided, Elias stepped forward to address the assembly. "This attack sought to exploit our differences," he said, his tone firm yet compassionate. "But it only proves how vital this treaty is. Let today be remembered not as a day of division, but as a triumph of trust and unity." With the conspirators exposed and apprehended, the signing resumed under renewed hope. As Elias and Lysera placed their signatures side by side, the room erupted in cheers. For the first time in days, they allowed themselves to smile, small, weary smiles born of relief and accomplishment. Yet amidst the celebration, both knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Their bond had survived this trial, but challenges lay beyond Nova Meridian's walls. Still, as they gazed at each other beneath the twin moons shining through the observation windows, one thing was certain: whatever came next, they would face it together. In the days following the summit, Elias and Lysera found themselves at a crossroads. The celebrations had faded, replaced by the sobering reality of what lay ahead. For Lysera, returning to her homeworld meant stepping back into the rigid confines of royal life, a life she no longer felt belonged to her. For Elias, continuing his duties as an Earth diplomat meant leaving behind the connection that had come to mean so much. The weight of their choices pressed heavily on both of them. One evening, aboard the Lumivine royal cruiser docked at Nova Meridian, Lysera invited Elias to join her in the ship's observation lounge. The room was dimly lit, with panoramic windows offering a breathtaking view of the stars streaking past as the vessel prepared for departure. She stood near the glass, her glowing skin casting soft reflections on the metallic walls. "I've thought about it," she began, her voice steady but tinged with emotion. "About what you said, about fighting for something different." She turned to face him, her violet eyes shimmering with determination. "I can't keep living like this, Elias. I can't be who they want me to be anymore." Elias stepped closer, his heart pounding. "What are you saying?" Lysera took a deep breath, as if bracing herself for the enormity of her decision. "I'm going to abdicate my position as princess." Her words hit him like a shockwave. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "This isn't just about us. It's your entire world. Your people look up to you, and they'll survive without me," she replied firmly. My brother is next in line. He's ready to take over. He believes in tradition far more than I ever could. But she paused, searching for the right words. I want to live for myself, for once, not because someone tells me I have to. Elias felt a surge of admiration for her courage. Abandoning royalty was unheard of among the Lumivine. It would shake the foundation of their society. Yet here she was, willing to risk everything for freedom. If this is what you truly want, he said, his tone filled with unwavering support, then I'll stand by you every step of the way. Tears welled up in Lysara's eyes, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of liberation. Reaching into a small pouch at her side, she pulled out a tiny luminescent crystal, its glow pulsing gently like a heartbeat. This is for you, she said, placing it in his palm. It's called a starlight shard. It symbolizes trust, hope, and new beginnings. Keep it until we meet again. Elias closed his fingers around the shard, feeling its warmth seep into his skin. Until we meet again, he echoed, his brow furrowing. Lysara nodded. There's still work to do on my end. I need to formally renounce my title and ensure my people understand why I'm doing this. But after that, her lips curved into a shy smile. Will you wait for me? The question hung in the air, simple yet profound. Elias didn't hesitate. Of course, he said, his voice resolute. No matter how long it takes. As the cruiser's engines roared to life, signaling imminent departure, Lysara embraced him tightly, her bioluminescence enveloping them both in a cocoon of light. When she finally pulled away, her expression was one of quiet resolve. Thank you for believing in me, she whispered before turning to leave. Watching her go, Elias held the starlight shard close, its glow a reminder of the bond they shared. Though uncertainty loomed ahead, he knew one thing for certain. Their love transcended titles, traditions, and even worlds. And wherever fate took them next, they would navigate it together, one leap of faith at a time. Months passed after Lysara's departure from Nova Meridian, and Elias found himself back on Earth, navigating a life that felt emptier without her. The starlight shard she had given him sat on his desk, its faint glow a constant reminder of the promise they had made to each other. Though he threw himself into his duties as an explorer, every mission seemed hollow without the hope of seeing her again. Nights were the hardest. He would stare at the shard, imagining her voice and the warmth of her presence. Meanwhile, on the Lumivine homeworld, Lysara faced challenges unlike any she had ever known. Her decision to abdicate sent shockwaves through her society, sparking debates about tradition, leadership, and personal freedom. Some viewed her actions as selfish, while others saw them as courageous, a bold step toward progress. Her brother, now crowned king, supported her quietly but firmly, ensuring her safety during the transition. Slowly, Lysara worked to redefine her identity, not as a princess, but as someone free to chart her own path. One evening, as Elias sat alone in his quarters aboard a starship orbiting a distant planet, his communicator buzzed with an incoming message. His heart skipped a beat when he saw the sender. Lysara**. Opening the transmission, he was greeted by her radiant smile, though there was a weariness in her eyes that spoke of battles fought and won. I did it, she said simply, her voice trembling with emotion. I'm no longer bound by my title. I'm finally free. Elias grinned, relief washing over him like a wave. Does this mean? It means I'm coming to you, she replied, her smile widening. If you'll still have me. Before Elias could respond, the transmission ended, leaving him breathless with anticipation. Days later, news reached Earth of a small Lumivine ship entering the solar system. When it landed at the spaceport near Elias's base, he rushed to greet her, his heart pounding with every step. The moment Lysara stepped off the ship, Elias froze. She wore a simple traveler's cloak instead of royal regalia, her glowing skin dimmed to a soft shimmer. For the first time, she looked truly unburdened, free. As their eyes met, all doubts melted away. Without hesitation, Elias closed the distance between them, pulling her into a tight embrace. "I told you I'd wait," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "And I told you I'd come back," she replied, her arms wrapping around him just as tightly. Together, they stood beneath the stars, two souls united despite the vastness of space and the challenges they had overcome. Their love had transcended worlds, proving that even in the darkest moments, hope could light the way forward. In the weeks that followed, Elias and Lysera embarked on a new journey, together. They traveled across galaxies, exploring uncharted territories, and forging connections between species. Their story spread far and wide, becoming a legend of unity, courage, and the power of following one's heart. Wherever they went, they carried the Starlight Shard as a symbol of their bond, a reminder that even in the infinite expanse of the universe, true connection knows no bounds. As they gazed at the endless horizon of stars, hand in hand, Elias and Lysera knew their adventure was only beginning. Together, they had found not just love, but a future filled with endless possibilities. And in that shared dream, they discovered something greater than themselves, a galaxy ready to be reshaped by hope, understanding, and the courage to leap into the unknown. The aftermath of the conspiracy left Nova Meridian buzzing with a mix of relief and unease. The Grand Summit had ended on a high note, with the treaty signed and unity reaffirmed. Yet beneath the surface, cracks remained. Tensions simmered among those who still opposed the alliance, and both Elias and Lysera bore the emotional toll of their ordeal. Exhaustion shadowed their eyes, but neither dared to show weakness. They were leaders now, symbols of hope in uncertain times. That evening, as delegates celebrated the historic agreement at a lavish reception, Elias found himself standing alone near the edge of the hall. Crystal chandeliers cast shimmering light across the room, illuminating clusters of diplomats laughing and exchanging stories. Music played softly in the background, blending harmoniously with the hum of conversation. Despite the festive atmosphere, Elias felt disconnected, his mind replaying the events of the day. Lysera approached him quietly, her glowing presence drawing more than a few admiring glances from nearby guests. She carried herself with regal grace, yet there was an unmistakable weariness in her posture. When she reached Elias, she offered him a small smile, her violet eyes searching his face. "You look like you're carrying the weight of the galaxy," she said gently, her voice barely audible over the music. Elias chuckled dryly. "Maybe I am, or maybe it's just the weight of everything we've been through." Lysera nodded, understanding without needing further explanation. "It's not easy being pulled in so many directions," she admitted. "I feel torn between my duty to my people and, well, us." Her words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken meaning. For a moment, they stood in silence, watching the celebration unfold around them. Then Elias turned to her, his expression serious. "What happens now? Once we leave this place, how do we keep moving forward?" Lysera hesitated, her gaze drifting toward the floor. "I don't know," she confessed. "My people expect me to return home and fulfill my role. But after everything that's happened, I can't imagine going back to the way things were. Not anymore." Her confession struck a chord within Elias. He knew what it meant to feel trapped by expectations, to have dreams that clashed with reality. Reaching out, he placed a hand lightly on her shoulder. "If anyone can change things, it's you," he said softly. "You've already shown incredible strength. If you want something different for yourself, fight for it." Tears glistened in Lysera's eyes, though she blinked them away quickly. "And what about you?" she asked. "Will Earth let you stay by my side when they need you for missions?" Elias sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know if they'll understand. Not right away, anyway. But I'm tired of living for other people's plans. If this is where I'm meant to be, with you, then I'll find a way to make it work." Their conversation was interrupted by Mira, who approached with urgent news. "There's talk among some factions about challenging the treaty," she warned. "They won't give up easily." Though the revelation cast a shadow over their brief moment of clarity, It only strengthened their resolve. As the night wore on, Elias and Lysera made a silent pact. No matter the obstacles ahead, they would face them together. For now, surrounded by twinkling lights and distant stars visible through the observation windows, they allowed themselves a rare moment of peace. But deep down, they knew the hardest decisions were yet to come. Sacrifices would have to be made, for love, for duty, and for the fragile bond they had fought so hard to protect. The days following the conference were a blur of formalities and diplomatic discussions, but Elias couldn't shake the memory of Princess Lysera's unexpected response. Her words, "You're making me nervous," lingered in his mind like an unsolved puzzle. It wasn't just her confession that intrigued him. It was the way she carried herself. Beneath her regal exterior, there seemed to be a vulnerability he hadn't anticipated. She wasn't just a princess bound by duty. She was someone who felt deeply, perhaps even yearned for something more. Their paths crossed again during a guided tour of Nova Meridian's crystalline gardens, a serene oasis nestled within the bustling space station. The gardens were designed to mimic Earth's natural landscapes, with towering holographic trees casting dappled light onto shimmering pathways. When Elias spotted Lysera walking alone among the glowing flora, he hesitated before approaching. Protocol dictated they maintain professional distance, yet curiosity outweighed caution. "Princess Lysera," he began, his voice steady despite the flutter in his chest. "May I join you?" She turned, her bioluminescent skin catching the soft glow of the artificial sun above. For a moment, she studied him, as though deciding whether to let down her guard. Then, with a small nod, she gestured for him to walk beside her. "I'm surprised to see you here," Elias admitted, breaking the silence. "I thought royalty didn't have time for leisure." Lysera chuckled softly, the sound musical and warm. "You'd be surprised how little time we actually have for ourselves. Even now, my advisors are likely wondering where I've disappeared to." She paused, brushing her fingers against the translucent petals of a nearby flower. "Sometimes, I wish I could leave all of this behind. The expectations, the ceremonies, the constant need to prove myself worthy." Her honesty caught Elias off guard. He had always assumed leaders like her were born into their roles without question, confident in their place. But Lysera spoke with a quiet longing, revealing cracks in the polished facade she presented to the world. "You don't seem like someone who enjoys being boxed in," Elias said carefully, choosing his words with precision. "Do you ever think about stepping away from it all?" Lysera's gaze flickered toward him, sharp yet thoughtful. "Stepping away isn't an option for people like me. My people depend on me. My family expects so much." She sighed, her shoulders sagging slightly under the weight of unspoken burdens. "But yes, sometimes I dream of exploring beyond my duties, seeing what else is out there, not as a princess, but as me." Elias nodded, understanding more than she might realize. As an explorer, he too had faced pressures, from superiors, governments, and even himself. Yet hearing her speak of such desires made him wonder if their connection ran deeper than mere coincidence. Was it fate that brought them together, or simply shared struggles? As they continued their stroll, the conversation shifted to lighter topics, stories of distant planets, favorite foods, and childhood memories. Lysera laughed freely, her earlier tension melting away. For a brief moment, Elias forgot she was royalty. Instead, she felt like a kindred spirit, someone who understood the complexities of responsibility, while still yearning for freedom. But their growing bond did not go unnoticed. Back in the main hall, whispers spread among the delegates. Some viewed their interactions as harmless camaraderie, while others saw potential danger. A few radical human representatives muttered warnings about mixing personal feelings with diplomacy, fearing it would weaken Earth's position. Meanwhile, traditionalist Lumavine council members watched Lysera with disapproval, interpreting her behavior as reckless and inappropriate. Despite the growing tension, Elias found himself unwilling to step back. Every smile Lysera gave him, every genuine laugh, pulled him closer. and though he knew their connection could complicate matters, he couldn't bring himself to walk away. After all, some connections transcend boundaries, even those written in the stars.